So I'm going to show you how to sew on a button and show you the different types of buttons we use in the shop. We have a 4-hole button, which has 4 holes in it, a 2-hole button, and then a shank button, which has a little plastic nub on the back that is sewn to the fabric. I'm going to show you specifically how to do a 4-hole button today, and if you can do a 4-hole button, you can do a 2-hole button and a shank. It's pretty simple. One thing to think about when you're sewing on buttons is that buttons do have a side that should be facing up and a side that should be facing down. A lot of buttons have a little ridge around the edge that you can maybe see on these, and that should be facing up on your fabric. Or some buttons actually have a different front side and back side, and the front side is normally more attractive than the back side, so you can tell, like on this one, it should be facing up. Sometimes there's really no difference between the front and the back, and that it doesn't matter then which side you sew on to the fabric. I'm gonna show you with this yellow button, and so you can tell that that just should go like that on the fabric. So with sewing on buttons, you again want to double your thread and tie your knot in the doubled thread. So you're going to do that the same way you've done your other closures. And then you're going to just trim off your edge. And like snaps, we'll normally have a mark on your fabric where the button should go if you're sewing them on. For us in the costume shop, I don't have a mark, but we're just gonna pretend. So what you're gonna do is start by just taking a stitch in your fabric like that, and then you're gonna come up through one of the holes of your button. It doesn't really matter which one. Then you're going to stitch down through one of the holes and stitch back up through the fabric, sort of back to where you started. And that'll pull and hold your button in place. And then you just want to do that a couple more times. So you're going in the button, and you can see I'm coming out of the back of the fabric, and then I'm going to come up through the hole again. And you want to do each sort of set of holes maybe 3 or 4 times, and then you can switch to the other set of holes. I didn't mention that with 4-hole buttons, you can sew either in an X pattern or in 2 parallel lines. I prefer the X pattern. I don't think there's really a reason why, but that's what I'm showing you here. So once you're ready to switch to your other set of holes, you're going to just stitch a little bit over from where you were stitching to before, and then you're just going to come up out of the other set of holes, and then do the same process of coming up through the hole, stitching down and back through the fabric, and then coming back up through the hole again. I find it helpful to kind of fold your fabric back like this. It makes it easier, and then it makes it a little neater on the back with a more compact sort of set of stitches on the back. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. And then once you've secured your button, you're going to tie a knot just like you tied knots for your stitches and your snaps. You're going to take a stitch underneath the button, and then you're going to take your thread and wrap it around the needle and come up through the back, and then you're going to just take another stitch right on top of that and then you can cut your thread, and then that is your button sewn on. The 2-hole button is done the same way, except you just don't have to switch to the other set of holes. And then a shank button is done similarly by just stitching around the hole in the shank. You only have to do a 4-hole button for us, but it's good to sort of be aware of the other things you might be asked to do.